for letters. One word. Zero explanation, at least not an obvious one. Jeep. Say it out loud. It doesn't sound like a car company. It doesn't sound like an engineering term. It sounds like something a cartoon character would say. And honestly, that's not far from the truth. Today, we're unraveling one of the most unexpected name origin stories in automotive history, a tale that involves a secret army code, World War II mud and mayhem, a magical interdimensional animal from a comic strip, and a bunch of soldiers with a very particular sense of humor. It's 1940. Europe is burning. The United States is watching nervously from across the Atlantic, and military commanders are quietly preparing for the worst. The Army has a problem. They need a vehicle, not a tank, not a truck, something nimble. Something that can race across open fields, creep through dense jungle, climb rocky ridgelines, and still fit in the back a cargo plane. Basically, they need a machine that doesn't believe in the word impossible. So the Army does what governments do. They send out a memo. Dozens of manufacturers are handed a brutal list of requirements and told, essentially, build us something that doesn't exist yet. Most companies looked at the specs and walked away. 3 didn't. The American Bantam Car Company, Willys Overland, and Ford each took swing at it. Bantam crossed the finish line first with a scrappy little prototype called the Bantam Reconnaissance Car. The Army loved what it could do, but Bantam was too small to build enough of them for a world war. So Willys and Ford were handed the blueprint and told to scale up. What rolled out of those factories was the Willys MB, a squat boxy, 4-wheel drive machine that looked more like a box on wheels than anything from a showroom floor. It had no name, just a string of government codes, 1/4-ton 4x4 reconnaissance truck. G503. Soldiers, naturally, refused to call it that. Here's where history gets murky, and honestly, more fun because of it. Nobody sat in a boardroom and decided to name this thing a Jeep. There was no brand strategy, no focus group, no logo designer. The name came from the ground up in the most chaotic, organic way possible. And there are 3 theories about exactly how it happened. Theory 1, the GP story. This is the one that sounds the most official, so naturally, it's the least accurate. The story goes like this. The Army classified vehicles using letter codes. G stood for government. P was supposed to stand for purpose, as in general purpose. Put those together, and you get GP, which soldiers supposedly slurred into a Jeep. Clean, logical, satisfying, also mostly wrong. In reality, Ford used the letter P in its internal system to describe a specific wheelbase configuration, not the word purpose. The GP origin story was retrofitted onto the vehicle after the name already existed. It's the kind of explanation people invented because they wanted the name to make sense. But here's the thing, the real story makes even less sense, and it's far better. Theory 2, Army slang. Long before the Willys MB existed, the word Jeep was already rattling around US military culture. Soldiers used it the way we use words like rookie or whatever, loosely, mockingly, for anything new and unproven. A fresh recruit who hadn't seen action yet? That guy's a total jerk. An experimental piece of gear that just showed up and nobody trusted yet? Yeah, it's the new Jeep. When the Willys MB showed up, brand new, untested, looking like nothing anyone had driven before, soldiers likely shrugged and called it what they called everything else that was strange and new. What's that thing? I don't know, some kind of Jeep. And somewhere in that throwaway comment, a legend was accidentally born. Theory 3, Eugene. This is the one that sounds too good to be true, except it probably is true, at least partially. In 1936, for years before the Army's vehicle hit the field, a new character appeared in the Popeye comic strip. His name was Eugene the Jeep. He was a small, yellow, magical creature from the 4th dimension who could walk through walls, teleport anywhere, solve any problem, and crucially, go absolutely everywhere. Sound familiar? When soldiers started driving a vehicle that could seemingly go anywhere and do anything, someone made the connection. Hey, it's like Eugene the Jeep. The joke spread. The name spread with it. Then in 1941, a Washington, D.C. journalist named Catherine Hillier watched a military demonstration and watched the little vehicle climb impossible terrain, scale obstacles, and ford rivers. She went home and wrote an article. She called it a Jeep because that's what the soldiers around her were calling it. That article locked the name into the public consciousness. There was no going back. By the time World War II hit full stride, Jeep wasn't just a nickname anymore. It was a legend. The vehicle went everywhere, North African deserts, Pacific jungles, European snowfields. It carried wounded soldiers off the battlefield. It towed artillery. It ran supply lines through terrain that stopped everything else cold. General Dwight D. Eisenhower, the man who would later become president, said the Jeep was one of the 3 pieces of equipment that genuinely won the war, alongside the C-47 cargo plane and the naval landing craft. Let that land for a second. A vehicle that didn't even have a real name 6 years earlier was being credited with helping win the largest conflict in human history. When the war ended, Willys Overland faced the question every wartime manufacturer had to answer. Now what? Their answer was sharp. They trademarked the name Jeep and launched the CJ, the civilian Jeep, targeting farmers, ranchers, and anyone else who needed a machine that didn't care about terrain. It sold, and it kept selling. Decade after decade, through different owners, different designs, and different eras, the name held. Because the name meant something. It wasn't invented by a marketing department. It came from the dirt and the humor and the desperation of real people who needed something they could trust. So why is it called a Jeep? The honest answer is all of the above. A little army slang, a little cartoon magic, a little journalistic accident, a little retrofitted logic that sounded better than the truth. The name wasn't engineered. It happened the way the best things often do, messily, unexpectedly, out of real human experience. And now, nearly a century later, you can say that single syllable anywhere on Earth, and people know exactly what you mean. Tough, capable, unstoppable. Not bad for a word that started as a joke. If you want to see more deep dives into the surprising origins of everyday things, hit subscribe, because trust us, there are a lot more stories like this one waiting for you.